Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we'll be changing oil on this 2024 Lincoln Navigator. Just came back from Lake George last night, and I'm due for an oil change. This procedure works for the Navigator from 2018 to 2024. They all use the same engine, so the procedure should be the same, if not very similar. Um, First up, you'll need ramps, or you might want to jack up your vehicle. Probably could do it without doing that. There's probably enough clearance underneath, but I like having additional room, so I built these ramps. They work for pretty much all my vehicles. Um, and before you even do that, you might want to check your owner's manual to see the capacity and the oil that you need, right? This vehicle requires 5W30, and I purchased the Pennzoil Ultra Platinum. It's very good, high quality oil for an EcoBoost engine, which this one has. Um, so I've got two five quart jugs. This needs 6 quarts. So I have that measuring cup on the left that I'm going to use to measure everything out. I've also got a Motorcraft oil filter, the FL-500s. That's for this engine. I've got a catch can big enough to catch all the used oil, right? That holds 16 quarts, and we're taking out about 6, so we should have plenty of room. Some of the other things I have is a filter wrench, rags, old towels that should work too. I have hand tools here, but you could also use an impact or a drill to take out the shield underneath. Not necessarily necessary for the drain plug. You could do that one by hand. Um, but yeah, let's get into it. All right. First things first, put the car up on the ramps or jacks, however you like to do it. And I like to pop the hood and then look down here. You see the oil cap? It says 5W30 on it. Get that into focus. I like cracking that open just to allow air to flow through, get us a better drain going on once we crack open the drain port on the bottom. Also, when you're using a can like this, remove this plug and then open up the vent so that way oil will actually get in and it won't make a mess everywhere. All right, so now we're gonna head under the vehicle and we're going to start to remove the shield underneath so we could drain the oil. But as we go along, you'll see up here, that can up there, that's the oil filter. We're gonna have to remove that. Yeah, it looks a little wet under here. This is not a leak of any sort. This is fluid film. I use that because up here in New York, we get a lot of snow. We salt the roads, so this is to prevent any kind of rust. And for the last 2 years, it looks like it's been doing a good job. So we'll make our way further back. And on the passenger side, let me just make my way around. On the passenger side, if you look up right where this sway bar is, if you pull the shield down a little bit, uh, right back there is the oil drain plug. Right, so we have to remove the shield, so we're gonna get this dirty. 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, and they're 8 millimeter. Okay, so we'll remove these. That in reverse. See if I could just loosen that by hand. Oh, gonna loosen those, and then I'll come back. It's a little difficult to do it with one hand. All right, so we got the cover off, and now we have access to this drain pan plug. It is a 15 millimeter. We could go ahead and start breaking that loose. I use a little cheater bar here. Get a little bit of leverage, and then crack it loose. Makes it a lot easier. All right, so now that that's loose, okay, now that we got that loose, we can go ahead, just back it all the way out. Right, I think that's loose, finger loose, yes. So now, grab your tissue and position your drain pan so that it will cap whatever comes out of there. Let me reposition. Right, so now that's cracked loose, and we are ready to start the drain. Starting our drip. Make sure the pan is set properly. And then, right. Let that drain until it stops or comes to a very slow drip. And then once that happens, ready to put the plug back in. All right, so we're back, and you can see it slow down to a pretty much a drip. And this oil plug has a reusable seal on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the used oil that's dripping down, and I'll put a little bit on the seal here, and I'll show you that in a second. Put a little bit on the seal just to seal it up and lubricate that, so it doesn't give me a hard time taking it out next time. Just put that plug right back in there. So that's finger tight right now. Just wipe it a little bit, get some of that oil from the spot. It's done. And then I'm going to take my wrench and just snug it up. Doesn't have to be super tight. It's just a drain plug. You don't want it coming loose. All right, that's tight there. I'm gonna put my cheater bar back on it, and then just give it maybe one or two more. Yeah, right about there. That's good. Then give it one final wipe. Make sure everything's nice and clean. There's no drips or anything coming down. And now we're gonna move on to the filter. So if you move forward, right in the front of this engine is right there. See that little square in the middle? That square plastic? That's the drain for the oil pan. I'm sorry, for the oil filter. So the filter's on top of this, and you have this slot here, which is also a little piece of plastic where the oil could drain from. So once you unscrew that filter up there, oil's going to come down either in front or in the back here, uh, depending on the level of the vehicle. But since we're up on ramps, it's most likely gonna come from the back. And I'm just gonna position my catch can right underneath. And this should be loose enough for me to loosen it by hand. Yeah, it's coming. If it is snug, which this one, I guess my hands are very slippery. Doesn't want to come off. Then you can use your filter wrench and just kind of break it loose. So I'm gonna grab that now. All right, I'm gonna put that on the end here. Whatever style you get, try it with that. They have different types of strap wrenches, and this one that comes to the end, and you just try to loosen it. Sometimes these are in the way, makes it difficult, especially with one hand. But let's see. I'm probably gonna have to do this off camera when I come back. All right, give me a second. All right, so we got that loose, and now it's gonna start draining. All right, spinning that off. You'll see the oil start coming down right there. You don't need to loosen any of the shielding or anything off of that because oil does not get on those covers over there. It falls right in between. There's a nice big gap. All right, and as I take this out, more will come out. And once this is out, we'll make sure that, all right, there we go, filters out. Okay, so that goes right in the catch can. Good, perfect. And you might want to just put a rag or something in there just to make sure that no oil comes down in the front in case a lot of oil does come out of that hole. But pretty good here. Wiping it up, make sure everything's good. No oil on this. There's a little drip from when I pulled off the filter. All right, and we'll look up in there. Looks pretty good. Let's wipe it off. Just continue to let that drain as we clean this off. Now this filter goes sideways, right? So I don't usually pre-fill with too much oil. I typically do pre-fill my filters, but on this particular vehicle, it doesn't really make all that much sense. So it's still dripping. I wiped it up. It's still dripping. On the old one, you just want to make sure that the gasket around it is still here and not stuck up on that faceplate of the other one. Because if you do, you'll have a situation where you have double gaskets and you'll start to leak. So just want to make sure that that's clean. Let that drain a little bit while you prep the new filter for installation. All right, so that seems like it's pretty much done dripping. Gotta go back up in there and just wipe the base of that all the way around. Make sure it's nice and clean. Got whatever old oil off of there. Right. See, it looks much better now. Then, all right, I got my new filter here. It's not pre-filled. Usually, like I said, I usually pre-fill it, but in this case, I did not because this filter sits sideways. And if you pre-fill it and you turn it sideways, it's just going to drip out. I took some of the old oil from the drain pan and just give it a light coat, maybe a little more. give it a light coat around the seal. This gives it a nice seal and it makes it easier to take out next time you have to replace your filter. And just wipe the edges. All right. So this is gonna go back in there. All right. So how I usually do this is put this on. Make sure you don't cross thread it, right? It should spin on pretty easily. Once it's in, you're gonna feel it touch. And touched right there, right? You can see it. Spin, stops on its own. I didn't tighten it yet, but I always put a line across there because I give it 3/4 of a turn. So it should be facing that direction by the time I'm done. The instructions usually say about 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn. I give it about 3/4 of a turn, and that line should be facing that way. So let me tighten it by hand. No tools required for this. All right, we're about halfway now. And give it another 1/4 turn. Just a little. All right, and that's it. Just by hand. You don't want to tighten it too much. And then I'll wipe around it just to make sure it's nice and clean. Don't have any leaks that might make a mess. All right, perfect. And then I'll take this off as well. And then just wipe that trough dry so we don't have any residual oil in there where the filter was sitting or where the filter drained to. And I'll go all the way back because I don't want anything just leaking off of my truck into my driveway. See, it's pretty dirty up there. I'll grab another rag and do the same thing again. And that was much cleaner. So it looks pretty good. We'll go in the other spot that we drained from over here. You could see, well, that's the front differential, but there's a little square plastic piece that we have to clean and get under here. That has a couple of drips in it, so I'm gonna clean them off right in the middle. It's a little tricky to see, but it's right there. Right, perfect. So that's clean. And the last step down here is to reinstall that cover with the 8mm. So I'm gonna go and do that off camera. Before I do that, I'll probably show you how it's on there. You see this right here, this little bracket. You make sure that these brackets are on. All 4 of them have it. It's 1, 2, and then the back corner is 3, right? And then 4 on that side. Make sure those didn't come off, and then what you could do is just replace the cover, and then we'll go topside and refill the oil. All right, so now what I usually do is takes about 6 quarts with a filter. So what I typically do is I put, instead of 32 ounces to make the 6th quart, I put in about 24 ounces, and then I drive it for a little bit, or even just start it up, let it sit for about 20-30 minutes, recheck the level. So we're about 24 ounces in there now, but I recheck the level and then I top it off as needed. That way, safe enough to start up, but um, you don't overfill. So yeah, I'm gonna go and put this in the car now. Okay, we're back up on top of the truck, and this is pretty self-explanatory. You pull out the fill plug or the oil cap, and then put in a clean funnel. This one, I like this one because it sticks up pretty high. Makes loading it up a little easier. I take the oil and I just drain it. Right, slowly This funnel's kind of, even though it is a tall funnel, it's very small at the bottom that goes into the hole, so it's easy to overfill. All right, let that drain, and then you'll repeat for the next bottle of oil. Okay. All right, so the oil is filled up. Remove the funnel and replace the oil cap. All right, so we're all set. I'm gonna back it down and reset the oil life monitor, and then we'll check the level, and then we'll be all set. Back inside the vehicle, we're going to start it up. I'm going to do a delayed start. So you hold down the gas and the brakes all the way down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that helps build the oil pressure up a little bit. And all right, we'll clear some of these alarms here. All right, and now we'll go to our menu. Click on the menu button down here. And you see oil life. So you scroll down, oil life, hit OK. And then we will hit OK and hold it down to reset. Now we're back at 100%. Right, perfect. So we'll back it down, give it a little bit, and then we will check the oil level. Usually I wait about 20 or 30 minutes while I clean up everything, drain the oil out of the catch can. And by then we can get a good idea of what our oil level is. But just make sure you're on, flat ground when you do this, or else you get you'll end up reading the wrong level. All right, it's time for our final step. It's been about 20 minutes or so. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna pull the oil dipstick out, and we're going to give it a wipe down with a clean rag. Right, put that back down in there. Make sure it seats all the way. Then we're gonna pull it again, and we're gonna check the level. And we are right in between the crosshairs, the cross marks. Hard to catch it on camera, but we're right there. Let's see, zoom in. Ah, there we go. Yep, we are right there in between the crosshatch and the very top fill mark and the very low one. At the low one, you add a quart. The top one, you're pretty much very, very top. Right in between, so we're in a good spot. I'm gonna add that extra 8 ounces to make up the 6 quarts, and should be good to go.